now, everybody sing.
Come now, let us
reason together.
Praise the Lord.
All right. Well, it was not a prerequisite to do this show with a good voice. So, hi, everybody. We are us. And this show is Let Us Reason Together. And it's based on Isaiah 118, which says, Come now and let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool. Do you recognize the world anymore? Is it flat? Is it round? Get ready. Is it flat and round? Like the paper from a cupcake, from cupcake cups that have served their purpose? You know, in other words, after you eat the cake out of the paper and the paper is flat and round. Yeah. Right? So maybe Earth is flat and round like a paper from a cupcake. Anyway, that's just one of thousands of theories that have surfaced or resurfaced in the past 70 years. On this week's episode of Let Us Reason Together, Rabbi David Weiss, that guy up there, and man of God, Larry Segari, the other guy up there, and me, Mr. God-fearer Mark David Smith, are going to continue our journey through the changes we've seen. Take a breath, Mark. Through those 70 years. Some people call us pops. Some people call us ancient ones. And another of my personal favorites, crusty. But we are really just three old guys who have lived most of those 70 years serving the one and only true God, the God of Abraham and Yaakov. Okay, be quiet, Krusty. On our last show, we shared several aspects of what we remember of the last 70 years. Mostly, we talked about music, TV shows, and movies that were popular back in the 50s, and then what's popular today. This week, we're going to talk about Larry's contacts.
Talk about crusty, yeah.
You like that transition there?
I like it. The evolution of contacts.
David, the reason is that Passover the other night, you know, Larry and I were actually sitting next to each other, and he looked over and said something about, we ought to talk about contacts or something, what they were like back then. And he proceeded to tell me about his contacts. And I thought it was very interesting because I've never worn contacts. So tell us about your contacts from 1954, the ones you were wearing then. And,
they were hubcaps. Well, I started wearing contacts back in 73. And the only contacts that you could get were hard contacts. And they were actually pieces of glass. They weren't plastic. They were actually pieces of glass that supposedly floated on your eye. And they didn't. They stuck to your eye.
Really?
I could go swimming and everything, and they would still be there. They'd be stuck on my glass. And every night you used to have to put it in a boiler, and it would boil it.
Wow.
The heat would sterilize it, supposedly.
Wow.
And if you forgot to do that, it was like, and I actually did come down with a infection in my eye because I didn't do it all the time. And I wasn't allowed to wear contacts for a year. But then as time went on, you got your soft contacts. Still had no, you didn't boil those because they would melt. You started chemically cleaning them. And as things went on, it got a lot easier to wear, and they floated a lot. But right in the beginning, it was not everybody could wear the contacts because you could tell they were in your eye. There was something always in your eye.
Wow.
The days. Well, some things have gotten better.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Well, David, you were going to say something.
Well, yeah, I mean, now there's no need. I mean, now that's a relic because people just get LASIK surgery, I guess, and don't need any. I mean, I've always worn glasses since I was about 4 years old, 5 years old, and never had contacts. I have astigmatism and never wanted to put something in my eye. But my optometrist tells me you'll need cataract surgery soon. Why not get it? Insurance pays for it, and you can have 20/20 vision for a little extra. And I'm probably going to do that. So,
Wow.
I drive at night, but I don't like driving at night, especially when it's raining.
No.
I don't find headlights glary, but it's actually the sun could be a little bright for me. On a cloudy day, even on a cloudy day, I have to wear sunglasses. So that may be a sign that the surgery is coming soon.
Another side thing, I just realized that today, in 1973, was the first time that someone used a cell phone. The inventor of the 1973.
Yeah, one of them real big.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, for the movies.
Yeah.
Like
those were cell phones.
Well,
they were like the size of bricks.
Yeah. Or a dish of lasagna, as that one commercial said. As big as a dish of lasagna.
Wow.
But it was 1973. The first cell phone was used.
Was it a satellite phone?
No, it was. I forget. I read the article.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you spoke of that time period, it just reminded me of where I was when we saw man walk on the moon. If you believe it's true, which I hope most of us do. But I remember we were all crowded around like a little tiny black and white TV, and we were at a campground, and there was no TV except one person had a little portable black and white, and he brought it out, and there must have been about 20 people crowding around looking at it, and it was black and white, of course, the TV, and you guys probably remember exactly where you were when you you see it live?
50 years ago. It was 50 years ago because they just 2 days ago they sent another 4 people up around the moon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And they said that this time they're going to send them, and the goal of the project is to make sure that they can stay there and not come back.
They're going farther than they ever have before.
So that's what Ralph Cramden meant when he said, "To the moon, Alice. Do you want to go to the moon?" He didn't want her to come back sometimes.
The honeymooners. Good realistic television. Yeah. That's what we grew up with.
Real quick, let me see if you can see this. I've got this on here. I think you can see this. But come on. Okay, there. This is from an airplane. Come on, add to stage. Come on.
There we go.
Is it up there?
Yeah.
Barely. That's from an airplane. Somebody videotaped the launch the other day.
Oh.
My wife showed me that, and I had 2 questions. Why is that plane so close to the rocket ship? I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if it was a near miss?
Yeah.
Like we see so often on nightly news. And what are they blasting off from the middle of a river?
It looked like it.
No, it's in Florida, I'm pretty sure, and they're right next. They're not far from the ocean. The place they blast all the rockets off is not far from the ocean. That's if you look at that video from where they blasted off back is kind of a grayish color, and behind it is a dull blue color. So it's real close to the ocean.
Okay.
Where they blast all this off.
Wow.
I always thought was interesting, but
Yeah,
wow, when I saw that, it's like, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I understand that if you're on a Brunswick County beach and you look directly south, because that's the way that the beaches face, you can see some of those space rockets go off.
Huh. Well, just look south.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool.
Speaking of lasagna dishes, one last thing.
Sure.
You know how we're talking about how big the cell phone was?
Yeah.
Well, in 73, I got my first Texas Instrument calculator because I was in the electronic technology course, and it was this big.
Yeah.
And you had to charge it up every night or plug it in somewhere. And all it did was, besides addition, subtraction, and the four things, was do square roots. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that gigantic. And we used to have to carry it around in a patch and put it on our shoulders when we were going from class to class.
Here's the one I have now.
Yeah.
Here's the one I have now. It's called a phone.
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing.
And you know what would soon you could buy in a store for about $2.99. Back then, I remember I got my first one and when I took college calculus in 1973, and I think it cost close to $100 in those days.
That was
and like I thought, like, wow, this is really worth $100. I can just do amazing math real fast. And then of course now they're just you probably can't even get them because we've all got them on our phones now.
And before that, we used slide rules.
Yeah.
I used an abacus in grammar school. I remember every kid having an abacus.
Wow.
And it wasn't Chinese school either.
Wow.
Must have been Hebrew school.
I don't think we had abacuses in Kansas. So because I never used one.
I think they were outlawed.
Yeah, outlawed in Kansas. That's right. Kansas and Oklahoma, get them things out of here.
I have to say, the abacus made me really quick at math. I mean, when I didn't need it anymore, and I can tell you why. It's because when it's like you're combining different parts of the brain, not only the conceptual, but you're also combining muscle movement in your fingers and also a visual, which is in the right brain. So you combine all those elements of working quickly, and it makes me really fast with basic math today.
I learned real early. I can't tell you when. I learned a graph where the first column was 1 through 10, 10 through 20 to 100, and so now my brain can take that graph and about any kind of problem, add, subtract, multiplication, division, my brain sees those numbers go in different places, and math just comes real quick to me. But I taught my daughter that, and today she has the same ability to do math just real quick, and a lot, not algebra problems and things like that, but in regular math. And so it's interesting what we learn when we're kids and what we can obtain and use. And so that's great.
You know what, we're on that, we're thinking about 70 years ago. Were you guys taught, like, nowadays they don't really teach morals in school because they figure, like, things you should and shouldn't do in real life, they kind of sort of leave that up to the parents these days. But do you guys remember being taught in regular school, maybe even from the Bible in school? Did you ever have a teacher that actually used biblical phrases to teach you about morals?
Well, I actually was in a Catholic school,
Oh, yeah.
so
So yeah, you didn't.
nothing but morals and ethical stuff.
Yeah, but was it from a Catholic?
yeah, from Catholic
Perspective.
What do you call it?
catechism.
Catechism book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother, I don't remember what I had for supper last night. So, I don't really remember what.
Probably matzah.
Well, yeah.
Lasagna?
Okay, well, yeah. But, so no, I don't remember. Great. I remember specific instances
Yeah.
of things that happened to me in grade school or middle school or whatever, but I don't remember, exactly what was taught or not taught. I don't. So, but I do pretty good today. So that's why I'm writing my memoirs before I forget my memoirs. Okay, all right. Well, next on the list that I have is transportation, and I had this. Oh, here we go. Cars, of course. Where's that go?
That was a good group.
Well, I had. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it won't pop up. How weird.
Well,
that's because they're over here. Sorry. I have pictures of cars from 1954 to today. Let me show those real quick.
Sweet.
So this is a 1954 Chevrolet.
Nice.
And this is a 1954 Chevrolet.
Nice.
And this is a 1954 Chevrolet. I don't know why I don't have any Fords or anything else, but that's what I got. So, and now this is the new Ford Bronco today, and the Acura in 2026, and this is the new Lexus 2026.
My goodness.
Yeah, I know. So things have changed. It's more like it's I don't know. It's more like what we're in space age. We're Jetson cars now.
Well, it's still on the ground. It still rolls. So
yeah,
right.
We're not quite there yet.
Some of the cars that you were showing were like for elite people that us common people can't afford. Because on the road, you can't really tell the difference between many of the cars because they all have that basic design. It reminds me of my dad's era when there were Model Ts all over the place.
Oh my goodness.
And
yeah. I think that for me the biggest change in cars, of course, is safety and technology. It was only about 5 years ago I finally got rid of my 2011 Mustang with the performance package.
wow.
And I got it, was like no frills. And then I got a 2020 Honda Civic, a basic Honda Civic. The Honda Civic is so much better in terms of technology and what it can do. I mean, the radar tracking, when I put on cruise control, how it can slow down, come to a stop, and then start by itself. I had to get a rental car, a Toyota Corolla, and I find that I'm fighting with the wheel. If I try to turn into another lane without putting on the blinker, the wheel fights me back. It doesn't want to let me go. It wants to keep me in the lane. As soon as you put the blinker on, it's fine. And then the safety. We didn't have seatbelts growing up. We had a long station wagon, and we all used to call the way back, which is what we called it, which is where you wanted to get in the back with your pillows, your blankets, and all your toys, and really spread out. And who knew that was like a deadly thing to want to do. And even when there were seatbelts in cars, people still got in the way back.
I remember my dad's car. I think it was a 56 Dodge. And you remember the humps in the back where the
yes,
the transmission would connect up with the rear. Well, I used to stand on that in order to be able to see where we were going.
Wow.
And there was a strap across the back of the front seat that you could hang on to.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll
So,
be darned. Wow.
and I was never told to sit back
Uh,
because I would be
yeah. We didn't.
the front seat would be a bench seat. There were no bucket seats. At
Yeah.
that
Oh,
point.
that's right. That's
So it
right.
was a bench seat. So my dad would sit on one side driving, my mom on the right side, and I would stand in the back on that hump so that I could see over the front seat to see where we're going.
Well,
Don't ever remember being told go sit down, sit back. No.
you know, it's funny when you look at the Ten Commandments, which comes on every year at this time, and you realize, gee, back then they were in carts with four wheels, and we're still on carts and four wheels, basically, but they just go by themselves, you know.
Yeah. You remember the Life magazines?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I remember paging through that one during the 60s in the high school library, and they were talking about vehicles in the 1980s, what we could look forward to. And they didn't have any wheels. They were like Jetson vehicles that ran on magnetism, and they would just hover. And that's what we were to look forward to in the 1980s and 1990s. It's like, okay, we're still waiting on that one.
Wait a minute. Now, I know trains do that. There's maglev trains in Europe that literally don't sit on anything.
Yeah.
But all we would need is some magnetic thing baked into the asphalt for us to have maglev transportation, right?
Yeah.
That would solve the energy crisis for sure.
Definitely.
Right on.
Or create a new one.
That's it. That's more like it. Here's a question for you. So, when was the last front bench seat in cars? What year did they finally take those? Because they don't have them anymore. There's
Not even in trucks?
Huh?
Not in some trucks, basic work trucks?
No.
Cars. That maybe, trucks probably still have them.
No, they've got you pull it down so that you could have a bench.
Okay. Okay. Well, so when do you think the year was that they had the last front bench seat in cars?
I would guess the 1980s,
Okay.
not 90s, but probably 80s, maybe late 80s.
Larry?
I would say the 90s.
Really? How about 2013?
Really? What vehicles had?
The last front bench seat in cars was discontinued by Chevrolet in 2013. This design was once common in American automobiles, particularly in full-size sedans and pickup trucks, but has largely disappeared due to safety regulations and consumer preferences for more comfortable seating configurations. 2013. That was a shocker to me.
Yeah. What model was it on?
Chevy was the last one.
Oh.
Well, that makes sense.
So they had been discontinuing them, but apparently Chevy still had them in there. How it was. Wow.
Was that about the year that the last VHS rolled off the line that you could buy brand new? It was pretty close.
Yeah, probably pretty close. I love it. Okay, so here's transportation. We're talking about transportation. Taxis to Uber and Lyft. I did a little research here, and Uber was founded in 2009. Uber Eats was in 2014. And there's another interesting thing. It has to do with transportation, is food delivery.
Yeah.
If you remember right, food delivery was a big deal years ago, but didn't hear much about it for years. Now it's a big deal again. For instance, like Walmart Larry, if you remember, a friend of ours at Passover was talking about ordering their food from Walmart and then going to pick it up. They don't even have to go in and shop. They don't have to go in the front doors. They just drive up, and the cost is only $1.99 for that. But all kinds of grocery stores are now doing deliveries. Here's an interesting one that I had heard the other day, but looked it up. Piggly Wiggly was the first self-service grocery store. Everything before them was delivery. In other words, Piggly Wiggly in what was it, 1919, I think. It was the first time people could actually go in a store and buy retail. They could buy groceries.
Wow.
And that was at Piggly Wiggly.
Wait, what year was that?
1919.
Yeah.
Well, how did they buy their groceries before then?
You went up to the counter and you asked for the stuff.
Or you had them delivered, or you knew somebody that would deliver them for you, or you just order what you wanted and things like that. I didn't look real deep into it, but I thought that was interesting that they were the first self-service grocery store.
Yeah.
So It might be something, if you're interested, maybe do a little research on that.
I didn't know that Piggly Wigglies went back that far.
Yeah.
I never heard of Piggly Wiggly until I moved down to North Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I remember growing up with them in my hometown.
Did you?
They're almost always in small towns.
Okay.
They're like, you don't see them around here hardly at all. But
you just made me think about something else, and I know it's a little bit of a switch, but do they still do the World's Fair? Because I remember going to the World's Fair in 1964 in New York, right near Shea Stadium. And it was before they had Disney Worlds and stuff. Now, they may have had Disneyland, but they didn't have all the theme parks we've got today. And boy, did I love the World's Fair. And I don't think they do it anymore.
I don't think so either.
1984.
That was the last one?
Last United States, Louisiana World Exposition in New Orleans, which opened in 1984. And that was it. That was the last one.
Wow.
So I guess they must have read Orwell's book and decided that things were going to go a different direction or something. I don't know. That's interesting, though. Yeah.
Well, did they hold it every 20 years, I think?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But
I just remember one phrase from 1984, truth is freedom. And like the Ministry of Truth gave you anything but the truth. And I'm thinking, wow, we're kind of living in those times right now.
Yeah.
Orwell was so prescient.
Here's one for you. They started the World's Fair in the 1790s. Was the first World's Fair.
Was it in USA?
They
weren't USA.
No, I think it was in Europe.
No, was the USA part of the world in 1790?
Well,
no, that was in Prague, Bohemia, next one was in Paris, France. It looks to me it's every 10 years.
Every 10 years, okay.
Yeah, because it's going 1810, 1820, 1830. No. Those are it's like every 3 years. Every 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. I think give and take a little bit of difference in some of them.
You brought back a really early memory of mine. It was a storybook about things that were invented and how they were invented. And so I learned about how the ice cream cone was invented. And not just ice cream in a cup, but the ice cream cone. And somebody wanted it. They was at the World's Fair. They wanted some ice cream, but they wanted to be able to walk around with it. And didn't want to deal with it. Anyway, so the guy selling the ice cream just took a piece of cardboard and he kind of rolled it up in a cone shape, and he put the ice cream on top. And she said, "Wow, that's great. You know, you ought to find a way to make these. And what if we had instead of cardboard, you can eat it, you know?" And we went back and invented that ice cream cone.
How cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now we have Dippin' Dots, which was invented by flash freezing ice cream, and they came out as these little round dots. And so one of the biggest sellers, I just saw a documentary on it just the other day. It's interesting. It's the biggest deal, supposed to be the biggest deal on ice cream these days. So got me. I don't know. All right, transportation. Lyft was in 2013. Now we have self-driving cars. If you'd have told us that in our teens that in by 2009 we'd have self-driving cars, we probably would have said, yeah, probably so. You know, probably. You mean they're not flying cars yet? You know, I'd have probably thought that in my teens. You know?
Yeah, we were raised in the space age.
Yeah,
and so we look forward to all those things.
That's right. With the space rockets going and everything, we thought the future was going to be faster than it did.
Yeah, very much.
Interesting.
Well, look, if they can do fast food deliveries with drones, which I think is going on.
Yeah.
Why can't they just make it a little bit bigger and put a person in it, and then we'll be in the time of the Jetsons?
That's right. Well, you know, we're pretty close to that.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of traffic. I don't know if there'd be traffic in the sky, would there?
Yeah. Yeah, you see some of these futuristic movies, and there's all kinds of traffic in the skies.
I don't leave the house often enough to care about traffic anymore. So
we don't have a lot of traffic around where I live, but we got problems with old farmers getting on the road and doing the 35 miles per hour on a 55. And it's like, that's even worse than traffic, if you ask me.
Oh,
yeah. And just about a half a mile up the road from Larry is the Rogue Chapel.
No, not Rogue. It's Bogue.
Oh, that's right, Rogue. That's right. I said the other night going to Larry's for Passover, we passed this old church building, and I looked up, and on the top of it, I thought it said Rogue Chapel, and I thought, isn't that an oxymoron? Because rogue means that you do it yourself. You don't go by the rules. You're just rogue, and that's totally against God. So
what is the name really?
Bogue. Bogue.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Bogue?
Well, we live in the Bogue Swamp.
Oh yeah.
It's just a name given to the swamp,
yeah.
And that's the Bogue Chapel. And I've never seen it used.
So has anybody thought about painting an S over the E at the end and calling it the Bogus Chapel?
You got me. I don't know.
Now that I'm retired, maybe I could do stuff like that.
It's not far up the road, bro.
No, I could walk down there and walk back.
That's right. That's pretty good. Anyway, okay, so jets. You guys want to see what jets looked like back in the
you mean with Joe Namath?
No, not that jets. This is what jets looked like in
the inside.
The 1950s.
Yeah.
This is what jets looked like.
What the heck?
And I just heard but about a couple of weeks ago that there is one airlines now that is offering the flyer. If you want to pay for 3 seats in a row, those 3 seats will fold out into a bed.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Isn't that interesting that back in the day you had so much room that you could do that? So, and then here is a plane ticket from 1954.
TWA, Trans World Airlines.
Isn't that interesting? Now, here's a plane ticket from today.
Yeah.
Which we have all seen.
Or on your phone.
Here is, yeah, exactly. And here's a plane of today. So
that first plane you showed, Mark, looked more almost like what you would think of as a private charter jet today.
Right. Well, I think their first class was very small. In other words, they really only had like maybe 8 to 10 seats or something in first class. And of course, today it's a lot bigger. And I think that's what that picture was from first class.
I'm still amazed every time one of those metal cigars go flying by me. That they're chock full of people and they're flying. It just boggles my mind. And when I'm on one, it's like this is unnatural.
You know what you just said reminds me of what a comedian said. We just kind of take flying for granted, and he says everybody in a plane should be yelling with glee all the time, because think about it, you're sitting in a seat in the sky.
Yeah.
And he said anywhere you want. But now we just complain that the seat won't go back enough. We just take things for granted.
We do. I always think of it like a bullet. It's like I'm riding in a bullet.
Yeah.
It's there we go. So let's hope this bullet doesn't reach a target.
It comes down. Yeah. which just brings to my mind, how many times have you seen movies where people shoot things up in the air?
Oh, yeah. It lands on.
Doesn't anybody know that those bullets do come down? I remember a Woody Allen movie in which they shot it up in the air and it came down and ripped the guy's arm off. That's realism. But all those things that they shoot up in the air, they've got to come down.
What goes up must come down.
That's right.
That must be where they came up with that. All right. Well, the other thing on my list was bicycles really haven't changed very much.
Except the price.
What's that?
Except the price.
The price. Yeah.
Man, you go, even in Walmart, they're like up in the 250s and 260s for something that we used to pay $50 for.
Yeah.
Brand new. I remember for Christmas, I got a little red bike and I took it down in the basement and I rode it around the basement the whole winter so that when spring came, I was out there and going to town.
Really?
All over my neighborhood.
How cool.
And it used to be that I would get on the bike and go riding like maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. This is during the summer. And I wouldn't come back except for lunch. And then I would go out riding again and wouldn't come back until my dad came home from 6 o'clock around that time. And my parents had no reason to worry about it.
How cool. Yeah. How very cool. So you lived in a house with a basement.
Yeah.
Big enough to ride your bicycle around.
Well, no, it wasn't.
Did you grow up in Mar-a-Lago or something?
It wasn't that big, but it was a challenge to stay upright and go around the poles in the basement and stuff. We did have it was tiled in the basement, but no, it wasn't that big. But I learned how to balance and ride without running into the poles and the walls and everything. So,
wow.
Yeah, isn't it funny? We get a bicycle at Christmas, right in the dead middle of winter, and it's like I can't go ride my bike. I can't.
What do I do with this?
And everything, and the streets.
But that's why they invented basements.
Yeah. There you go. That's right.
Wow.
Okay. Anything else in trend? Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was going to say, I was wondering, like, bicycles have been around for a long time, and I'm glad they are still around. And I just looked up when they were invented, and it was invented in 1817
Yeah.
to put a two-wheeled thing with a seat and and something you could steer it with. And like I'm looking at a picture of it, and it looks quite amazing. But it is clearly a bicycle, and that's one thing that's pretty amazing. It's still around, but I guess people do it now for exercise more than transportation.
Well, no, in Europe,
living off of it, yeah, you bet. Delivery
over in Europe, they have.
Oh yeah,
the majority of them drive bicycles instead of cars because
oh yeah,
a lot of the cities are.
Yeah,
they don't allow cars in.
When we went to Amsterdam, I couldn't believe that like half the population must be on bicycles in Amsterdam. And they all they eat is like fat and sugar and carbohydrates, you know, like in the morning. And then I realized they're just working it off on their bikes. And they must be a healthy people.
Well, I see. I'm going a different direction on that. Pretty much Amsterdam is known for a lot of weed smoking. And so to me, it's like they don't want to drive cars because they're stoned all the time. So bicycles would be more than transportation in Amsterdam.
They've been doing it ever since bicycles were invented.
Sorry, David. I just had to give you an alternative way to look at it there.
Hey man, Dave's not home.
Well, see, I was in the Navy and went to a lot of Oriental spots. And let me tell you what, they are just packed full of bicycles. You know, almost every town or city you go into in the Orient is just covered with bicycles. So, you know, in the States, we just get around differently, but there are so many, most other countries, I think, use a lot more bicycles than we do.
Well, we're a lot bigger country than most countries are. You know, you could fit Europe into the United States. And that's always blown my mind too, that, you know, every 200 miles, you're speaking a different language over in Europe.
Yeah.
That's unique, or we're unique, whatever, which way you want to look at it.
Yeah, what's really amazing too is that they don't really fight any more wars in Europe against each other like they used to in the olden days. I mean, depending on how far in Europe you go, but like the European Union, they're pretty much at peace with each other, I guess. Unless it's a soccer match you're talking about, then all bets are off.
They kill each other in the audience.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have that than mass, you know, trench warfare and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We got about 15. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Larry.
I was going to say most of the United States is rural, and I live in the country.
Uh-huh.
And using a bicycle just wouldn't work.
So people still do it on country roads.
Yeah, on the back roads maybe, but you know, you get up on a 55 mile per hour highway, which is basically what all the highways are around here. My driveway goes right up until 55 mile per hour. You know, right. Bicycles just don't work.
Right.
Yeah. You know, as long as we got 15 minutes, and I think this may be our last looking backwards show, I'd like to ask you guys something about how you feel about the way when we think about religion or church or how we communicate, how we read the Bible. The two biggest changes I see is that nowadays you don't have to physically go to the church building, to the congregational building. You can watch a lot of them on you know, broadcast TV. And the other big change to me is that most people don't carry books, Bible books anymore. Now it's on their phone, and not only that, but you have so many open resources where people can study the Bible with their smartphone, and if they want to, they can access a lot more information. So how do you feel about those two big changes? Broadcasting services instead of having to come in person, and all the amazing access to to biblical information right in the palm of your hand.
I think it's a great thing personally because, like I just said, we live in the country. There's no congregation around us.
Hmm.
So we depend upon the internet and we depend upon our phones and stuff like that. And you can get on your phone so many different translations of the Bible. It's really neat to look at the difference in the way that it's translated and stuff like that. And so I'm
Yes.
all for that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to do a Bible study. What I'm holding in my hand here is Revelation chapter 5. And of course, I have access to an online Hebrew translation of the entire New Testament, the Brit Hadashah. And it's really interesting how it wasn't originally written that way, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it was written in Aramaic through the letters or what, but just quick access to things can make everybody want to get deeper into their Bible if they will take the time and have the desire to do it. So yeah, that's a great thing. And I hadn't thought about, I thought people got lazy during COVID when COVID lifted and they could come back to our building. And we live in a fairly crowded suburban area in Chesapeake. And, a lot of people that used to come before COVID, we don't see them anymore. And I'm pretty sure they didn't die. So, I think people just have some people have gotten lazy. But for you guys who live out in the sticks, I guess it's good to be able to zoom in a service somewhere and feel like you're part of that community.
Yeah, we used to once a month. We used to travel from here to Statesville, which is about 2.5 hours, and we used to stay at a hotel for a congregation up there. But that got to be too expensive for us, and
Sure.
so we are really appreciative of all the online congregations that we can zoom into.
Yeah.
Well, with me,
S-
you're lagging. You're for some reason, Larry, we're getting a little bit of lag there every once in a while, but we can kind of tell what you're saying. But for me, my phone is a phone. And it's for talking to people on the phone and text. And the last time I looked up anything as far as scripture was probably 3 or 4 days ago when I heard something and wasn't real sure about the translation. So I just looked it up real quick, but I couldn't tell you the last time I did any research or anything on my phone where it had to do with scripture. I've never been that way. I just don't. I may have an app or two or something like that with the Bible on it, and you can look those things up. But it's been so long. With me, it's computers. I mean, I need a physical computer, and I need to be. And of course, all my bookmarks are on my computer. I can go to just about anything within seconds because I've organized all my stuff on my computer. I think it's great, to be able to do that and the research. That's another thing about sitting here doing this show is anything that we come up with while I'm on my computer, I can run over there or, I got a monitor right here, takes however long to type in a question and I have the answer to it. Right. And I can go to Bible Hub or, the Bible, what is it? Gosh, I can't think of the name.
Blue Letter?
Yeah, no, I don't use that so much. My wife uses that all the time. But there's
Bible Gateway.
Gateway is the
Yeah.
other one. But it's just ones that I've gotten so used to over the years. But they're all bookmarks. I mean, it just takes nothing to get to. Whereas I find on my phone, it's not as easy, and
Right.
it doesn't have the range that I can look up several things and have them on different screens and do study and stuff like that. So the phone I use for a phone and text, and that's pretty basic. Or IMDb. That's about all I use my phone for. So I have access. I just signed up for Instagram yesterday for just now. So and my wife was as shocked as you are, and it's because of that picture that video that I showed my wife sent to me, and it's like I can't watch it unless I get in Instagram. So see, I'm just not into all that. Everything that I want to do is on my computer, and we have a computer, 2 or 3 computers throughout the house. So no matter where I'm at, I can look it up, and there I am. So but as far as that's concerned, yes, I think that is massively good to have. It's a great thing that has advanced for today. That is really good for the average Joe to be able to do it, and even the average John or the average Leroy, they can use it too.
I was just thinking the other day that if we ever think about, wow, if I had an hour to leave the house for something, for an emergency, that I wouldn't think about grabbing a physical book Bible. However, and then I got to think, well, what if we all kind of lose power, which a lot of people think will come in the end of days. When your phone's not going to work and you want to be reading your Bible, you got to have a book ready to go somewhere. So it's the physical book will come in handy in certain emergency times, won't it?
Definitely, yeah. Well, when we go to Sukkot, we always take our hard copies.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of average Joe, there's a great new game show on called The Greatest Average American, and it's hosted by Nate Bargatze. You guys know who he is?
Oh, he's funny. I like him.
But he has a new game show we've been watching. It's very clean. It's very good. It's a lot of fun. The contestants, if they win, if they're the final winner, they win $67,927, which is the average income for people in America today. So that's if they can get all the way to the end of the show, they are the greatest average American, and they win a year's income. And he even throws in enough to pay the taxes on it. It's pretty good. It's on Hulu. It's really good. We like it a lot.
All right.
Anyway, but we are the three of us are not that average, but anyway, we got 6 minutes here. One thing that has changed immensely, but only you guys know about, are the school systems. I mean, do you have some comparisons of what it was like when we were growing up to the differences between the school systems now, like online schools during COVID, and of course school shootings and all that? My gosh, that's only come up in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah. I remember when I was in elementary school, we had on the average 60 kids in a classroom.
Wow.
And 60? Yeah, I remember.
I remember. PE?
I remember going down the row to my seat, and it was like, dun, 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 dun. I had to count to make sure because I couldn't see the empty seat from the front of the class. So I am amazed when I look back at that, at how that teacher kept that classroom under control. But standards now are maximum is like 25, 30. And that's by law.
Really?
Yeah. And that's one of the big changes that I've seen, that they've hired more teachers, and there's more personal individual care for the kids nowadays.
Yeah.
But we all turned out all right.
Yeah. Well, do you agree with the bill they're trying to pass to put the 10 Commandments back in school? There's a big move for that. Do you believe that they should do that?
I had the 10 Commandments in my classroom, but that was a choice. You know, I would like to see it put back in the choice of the teacher, if they want to put it in there.
Yeah, I don't want to see it because
I don't either.
See, it's a slippery slope, and like, what happens when you get someone who wants to put, or a school system that says, let's be inclusive, let's put the Quran up, let's put the Book of Tao up, you know, let's put the World According to Garp up. I don't want to see anybody else's, you know.
Well, I had it up because it's part of the social studies curriculum. Historical thing.
There you go.
I would use that in order to study it, you know.
But I agree with you, David. I've had that opinion since day one. Is, you know, the Muslims and Jews and anybody else, of course, the 10 Commandments apply to Jewish people, but there's so Hindus. There's so many people with their own deal. Do you put those up too?
No. And then you get, which translation are they going to put up?
Right.
You know?
That's true.
Because there's different words for kill and thou shalt not kill. And people don't always understand that God is okay with the need sometimes to have to take a life. And even though life is precious, you know, anyway, you all know the story.
Yeah.
And now, would they dare to put it up in Hebrew, its original language, or even more original than that in the hieroglyphics? I mean, why not put it up in its original form?
And the question would be, why put it up there? Because nobody would be able to read it. All you'd have is a bunch of squiggly lines, you know, and so that would be the argument I guess I would hear is it's just a bunch of squiggly lines, you know, and it to a lot of the average English people, Hebrew does look like Arabic or not Arabic, but Farsi or whatever the language is for Islam. You know, it's not, but people that don't know the difference, they look at Hebrew letters and stuff, and it's like, wow, that's Muslim stuff. We don't want that up here, you know. So, you know, there's just too many arguments for it to me. I don't think they should be doing it. Anyway, so that's our opinion, and we are all sticking to it. That's all there is to it. All right. Well, it's time to get over to the Rabbi David portion of the show.
We call this "In My Opinion."
What's that?
We call this section "In My Opinion."
In my opinion. Okay. Well, it's his editorial then, isn't it?
That's right.
Here we go. All right. On the editorial on the Torah portion. There you go. How about that?
My way's bad. My way is so bad. Sure is good. Your way makes me glad. My way's bad. My way is so bad. Sure is good. Your way makes me glad. Torah, Torah.
Chag Pesach Sameach. May you have a wonderful Passover feast all this week. Remember that God says this is so important that you don't just celebrate it on one day. It's actually 2 different holidays. Oh, shalom. I'm sorry. I'm Rabbi David Weiss from Malchut Chaim Messianic Congregation. And of course, this is Passover week, Feast of Unleavened Bread week. The Passover is a one-day holiday at the very, very beginning. And then for the next 7 days, it's what God told Israel to do, is to remember this by eating a lamb every year to remember the Passover, and then by eating unleavened bread for the next 7 days, and to have holy convocations where you do no work. I just love Passover. We all love its message of freedom from bondage, and people can be in bondage in a lot of different ways. And so there's so much I can talk about, but in the short time I have, before my friends come in and we start talking together, I just want to share what I think what was put on my heart for this year's Passover, and that is one of the things that makes it unique, along with all the other feast days that are unique in the same way, is that God doesn't say just celebrate it once, celebrate it once. Like when Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, and then he saw the ram. We don't celebrate the slaughtering of the ram caught in the bush and put it on an altar every year as a remembrance. That didn't become a holiday, a national holiday. But you look at the things that have become national holidays, and then we realize that the Lord is one who wants us to remember his greatness. And that's something about Passover. It always makes us think back on the past, and we are doing a mitzvah when we remember the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And so the first clear message for me this year is that the Lord wants us never to forget that his story of freeing people from whatever bondage they're in is a story that he wants us to keep telling again and again and again. And I think it's because the Lord is so inclusive. He wants everybody to join in, nobody to be excluded, to the Commonwealth of Israel worldwide, and the book of Torah that he gave really to the whole world as a perfect guidebook for living a life. That's the first thing that I think about. The Lord even says at the end of chapter 12 of Exodus, he says, from the evening of the 14th day of the first month to the evening of the 21st day, you are to eat matzah. And in verse 19, whether a foreigner or a citizen of the land, eat nothing with chametz in it, wherever you live, eat matzah. So whether you're a foreigner that wants to come and join Israel, or whether you are someone from the 12 tribes of Israel and you want to celebrate, the Lord is telling you, you celebrate this wherever you are. And so he says, when you go into the land, celebrate it every year. But if you're not in the land, celebrate it wherever you are. You are to eat matzah. And it might seem like a strange holiday that's based on eating a flatbread with no yeast. But of course, that begs the story, the question, and the telling of the story again and again. And with this story, we find that it's so universal. As I said, that the story, look how many people have grabbed onto the narrative, the Israelites being slaves and then being freed by the Lord God himself not by a man, but by the Lord. And so central to that, of course, is the lamb being sacrificed while the angel of death passed over. And that brings me to the second great point of Passover, besides its universality, that God wants everybody to enjoy his freedom, his salvation, and his identification, identifying as children of God. Besides that, the other thing is that as we read the Brit Hadashah, we realize that Passover and the Feast of Unleavened, that Passover at least was not original. That was the copy of something that was going on in the throne room before Passover even happened. And we see this in the Brit Hadashah in the book of Revelations, chapter 13 and chapter 5. And we see it also in 1 Peter 1. But particularly Revelations 5, verses 4 to 6 reads, I began to weep loudly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. And this is when John has a vision where he's transported into the throne room. And I'm guessing it's the end of days. And here we've got the scroll with 7 seals. Then one of the elders tells me, stop weeping. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is worthy to open the scroll and its 7 seals. And in the midst of the throne and the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, I saw a lamb standing as having been slain. And so that goes along with something that was in Luke chapter 4. And I'll just read this as well. Yeshua returned in the power of the Ruach to the Galilee, and news about him went through all the surrounding region. He taught in their synagogues, and everyone was praising him. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been raised, as was his custom. He went into the synagogue on Shabbat, and he got up to read. And of course, it was the time, people wouldn't know this now, but it's that time of the Torah cycle where he's reading Isaiah 61. And when the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him, he unrolled it and read, the Ruach Adonai is on me because he has announced me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free the oppressed. It's proclaim the year of Adonai's favor. And he closed the scroll and gave it back to the attendant. And then he said, today the scripture has been fulfilled in your ears. That just speaks to the universality of Passover and how it really even points to the greatest redemption. It's hard to imagine something greater than the Red Sea splitting and 10 plagues coming on Egypt. As great as that is, it's even greater when we think about the redemption that is offered for the whole world with the Lamb of God, who sits at the right hand of the Father and was appeared as a lamb slain, having been slain. I think that's just amazing. Anyway, it was a big mishmash today. I invite my friends in, and maybe the question is every of the things I've talked about, its universality and it being like a copy of the heavenly throne room. What really stands out to you? What does Passover mean to you guys? I mean, I kind of expressed what it means to me and why it's so great. What does it mean to you guys that makes you want to come back to it every year as not just doing a mitzvah that God has called you to do, but something you really enjoy coming back to and talking about again and again? What is it that you love so much about the Passover narrative and story?
Neither one of us have anything to say.
Oh, I
change the subject. We're not. No. Okay. Usually Larry pipes right up, so he's thinking. I think it would be for me is that every year sparks a new something new that the Lord shows me randomly. that, I mean, through people that I would have never thought I'd learn something from or whatever, that sparks me to want to go research that part of it that I never thought before. And I think that's what's so fun to me. And it's pretty much about almost every one of the Moedim, but especially Pesach, because there are just so many things involved during, and it's not just the Seder, it's the whole week of Passover. It's so many things that have happened. And so, like I say, I learn every year. One of the things that I learned this year, of course, you know, I do a show with Hakan Yossi on Tuesdays, and this last Tuesday, he actually, from a Jewish perspective, lined out the entire week of Passover and everything that happened on every day. And I was telling Larry about this the other night, is that Yossi is so versed in his teachings and his understandings that he, even though he does use his Bible and scriptures, most of the time he can quote stuff out of the Brit Hadashah one right after the other without even looking at the scriptures. And this past week, which is a good show if you want to go back and watch it, is he lined all these out. And one of the things that was very interesting to me was that the Mary and Martha had a big gathering, and it's the place where I think it was Mary that anointed his feet, you know, with the oil and everything. And Judas piped up and said, don't do that or whatever. But that happened on the first day of Passover week. That was 6 days before Passover. And there, in one of the four Gospels, it starts that whole discourse off with 6 days before Passover. I was trying to look it up, but I can't find it right now. But I thought that was real interesting, because I just took that as another story, another example out of the Gospels. But you're looking it up, aren't you? I know how to look it now. But anyway, it happened 6 days before Passover. And then all the different things that happened up to the point of his crucifixion was just amazing. And another thing that I've heard through the years that I literally had to go back and check it out because I had never thought about this before, is that at the meal, Yeshua tells Judas to go, whatever he's going to do, go do quickly. Now, the thing is that's really the only thing that's said. Though I've heard it taught through the years that Judas was supposed to, that the other disciples thought Judas was going to go buy supplies or give alms to the poor. Well, the problem is that if that is the night that we're calling Passover, that means they're going into a high holy day, and there's no way Yeshua would tell him to go spend money. What, even giving to the poor or whatever, he would have never told him that. He knew what he was going to go do, and what he was doing was, deceiving. And so I learned that. I had never looked that up. I've heard that so many times, and I just took it for granted that that's what the deal was, but it's not true at all. The only thing that Yeshua said to him was, what you're going to do, go and do quickly. And so I thought that was interesting. There's just, like I say, it's every single year there's something that the Lord will spark. In other words, I hear something that it's like, wow, I never thought of that before, or I thought of that, but I never really looked that up. And so that's what I love about Passover, especially, is learning new things. And every year, Larry updates his Haggadah, and it's absolutely wonderful. And I look forward to that every year. That's something to look forward to. Passover is his Haggadah. So,
Larry, you've created your personal Haggadah from a variety of Haggadot, and
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And each page is in a separate little plastic container, just in case some people get
Spill
wine
wine.
all over everything.
Oh, hi, Mark.
no, not me. I didn't
Yeah.
spill any wine.
So, Larry, what do you not only what do you like about Passover so much, but what has God deposited in your heart and soul this year?
Well, I look back at Passover as being the thing, the event that when I was just a born again Christian, that made me do some research on that Last Supper thing, which brought me into the understanding of Passover. And really, I feel that's what drew me to this walk with Torah. And every year, it's kind of like a renewal of me, who was born again, but not walking fully in the Lord by not following his commands. And that's what brought me to it. So it's a special thing to me. And I've shared it with my family all these years. And now I've got a larger family with people coming over our house to do it. And we've always used our house as an open invitation to people for the church that we used to belong to. The leaders of the church used to come, but then they said, this is too Jewish, so they don't come anymore. And it's just been a year-to-year thing that has renewed the spirit in me to continue to look upon it as a historical thing, which I just find such a connection with the Hebrew people in the original Passover. And then what Yeshua did the night before he died in taking the Passover and filling it up with meaning. It's amazing to me. And that's what drives me every year to have the Passover.
Yeah, I like it.
As for this year, what did I learn this year?
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say what I learned this year is that people know the Magid, and we don't have to read it anymore. Yeah. We can just discuss it, and that was a wide open thing that I took. I took the chance that would work, and it really did work this year.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is that I thought that's the first time I've ever done that at a Passover, is instead of reading the step-by-step account of that portion of it, is Larry asked us to start with Abraham and do a chronological order from our own perspective of what actually happened. And it was really good. It was a lot of fun to do. I thought many times in a lot of my teachings that I've always wanted to ask people, can you start with, like Cain and Abel, and do a chronological order without looking at the Bible? Can you tell me what happened all the way through? And, some people can. I can to some extent. I can probably do it without skipping a lot of, the details, of course, I probably couldn't do, but I could give you a general chronological layout of everything. And I thought that was a really good part that Larry did with us at Passover this year. It was very good, very good.
The only thing we do use a Haggadah that is it's a messianic Haggadah. I think it's from a company called Letterer or something like that.
Right.
But it's a very good messianic Haggadah because Yeshua is brought in so much where he's appropriate in particular. So it's a really good Haggadah. And I like what we vary every year is how we involve the children in it, because sometimes our children will do skits, and then we also have people portraying personification of the 4 different cups of wine. And so they'll say, I am the cup of plagues, or I am the cup of salvation. I am the cup of redemption, for the 3rd cup. And they do little skits, monologues that my wife had written. And and then we play sounds. And yesterday during the 10 plagues, we had sound effects going on from the phone to the speaker. And people were given marshmallows to throw at each other to simulate hail, and little Jello frogs to throw at each other during the plague of frogs. And it's just a lot of fun, and people find it very interactive. But what I wanted to say about what's so great about Passover is we're asked to do a demonstration Passover Seder at a different church every single year, and we're very happy to do it. We tell them what they need to do the complete Passover, and we give them the short version, which is, I would say, is a 2-hour version as opposed to a 4-hour version. So, but it has never failed to touch hearts, to understand that their very Lord and Savior, what he went through, and that everything that happened back in Egypt, he came to bring to life on a much grander scale, redemption for the entire world. And it just never fails to touch hearts. I don't know if they'll do it every year, but it's interesting too that it's the very first of the major feast days that God tells them to do again and again. When he brings them out of Egypt, he says, always celebrate the Shabbat and remember the Shabbat, remember this Passover, and celebrate it every year when you go into the land. So that's the introduction to the feast. And then it links so well with Sukkot, which is the last feast, and is all about, if our redemption through Yeshua is the beginning of our spiritual lives, then the last thing in our spiritual lives is being part of the bride and being brought to God's tabernacle. And they just bookend each other so well. We invite people into our sukkah every year, but we get much bigger, more takers, if you will, who want us to show them how to do a Seder.
Yeah. Not to put people on the spot, but that would be an interesting question for a Christian Passover Seder, is to ask them to do an Old Testament chronological order of things, because they are so much just New Testament. Christians just dwell so much on the New Testament that so many of them really don't know their Torah, their Tanakh at all. And that's something I found through the years that, I think that's one thing that I short of using a better word, is proud of the fact that I do know my Old Testament, and I know it very well. And especially the Torah, I'm very familiar with, and it's not important to know the chronological order. It's not, that's not dependent on your faith or anything, but it really does help me to be able to recognize those things and be able to put that together. I think it's something the Lord wants us to know, is all those stories and everything that happened in the Old Testament. But the fact that they are in Torah chronologically, I mean, as you go through the books, they pretty basically are chronological. There's a reason for that, so that we can learn how that society progressed and honored the Lord and respected the Lord and worshiped the Lord and complained about the Lord, all those things. And I think that's one thing I've thought many times that Christians have such a deficit of, is because they are not looking every week to a progressive run through Torah.
Yeah.
That to me is a deficit to Christianity.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that there's this deficit that Christians know that Yeshua fulfilled the Torah, but how did he do it? And I think going through the Passover and going through the sea and then going to the mountain, that all has to do with what did Yeshua do at each of those points too.
Yeah.
And it's not good enough just to know that, Torah has been fulfilled by Yeshua. It's how did he?
Right.
In what way did he do that?
Right. Why did we need Jesus? Why do we have the stories in the New Testament? Why?
Yeah.
And without knowing Torah, I mean, the prophets and the writings are great to know that history, but without Torah, you don't have the New Testament.
Right.
Those stories don't have meaning.
Right. They don't have meaning.
Torah.
Right.
See, and I'll never forget the first year I started studying Torah and learning all these things. I would go to my for the first 3.5 years of my Messianic walk, I was still going to church. And I remember talking to my brothers and explaining why John knew that Yeshua was the Messiah.
Yeah.
Why did he know? I mean, his father was the high priest. He knew these things. But the reason he knew these things was because of everything that came before.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you think Yeshua had to come as the Messiah? And it's 57 after, and we're done. If we don't go right now, I'm going to run into the next show. So I'm so sorry. I just get so excited on this stuff. We have to go. Say goodbye, everybody. We got to go. So
bye, everybody.
We'll see you next week.
Chag Sameach. Shavuot.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all other live Lamb Show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell somebody about the Messianic Lamb Network.
They should be white as snow, white as snow, white wool.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
White as snow, white as snow.